Hello everyone, Luke Forsmith here, and welcome back to another quickie reading. This time it's of Jacob Sockness. Recording it a little bit later than usual, because I was playing a little bit of a Resident Evil Village. So far, excellent game. I'm in the castle now, and already stuck on a puzzle. So yeah. Anyway, we are starting this reading off with a quote. Stop with these sex obsessions already. Seriously, please chill out. And that was Chris, 1st of July 2020, so that was rather recent. Criticising Sockness for his creepy behaviour after over a year of it. I mean, to be fair, good on Chris for calling him out, because Sockness is an absolute creep. Jacob's Justin Sockness, born the 1st of April 1983, is a 38-year-old man from San Francisco, California, who has the dubious honour of embodying every single aspect of the unholy tirade over the course of his years of interacting with Chris. Sockness is a white knight turned enabler. It's fine. A good one, check this recording. Turned green, turned A-log, who emerged in the mid 2018, and was most active between July and November of 2019. Sockness has similarities with Chris, such as being autistic, non-gendering, confirming, believing a monthly tugboat. Receiving a monthly tugboat, believing to be a god, thinks he has magical powers, and has built an elaborate fantasy universe. In other words, he is absolutely insane. A little bit like Chris, but worse. To be fair, right, I do think Sockness is a little bit worse than Chris, because Sockness is a little bit more dangerous as well. Into which has appropriated Sonic characters with over a dozen installments that he believes really exists. While he was at first seemingly just another troll, notable for his erotic deposition towards Chris, Sockness would become openly miraculous after establishing direct contact with Chris. In the mid-2019, Sockness and Chris agreed to work together financially following Chris's 2019 June ban from eBay. He achieved considerable influence over Chris's fantasy world, as seen in Sonic number 14. Most of his courting and enabling has been through Twitter, though he would also promote himself through Reddit, YouTube, and even Kiwi farms. For months, the two would express interest in meeting in person, to onlookers' alarm. Yet when Sockness would finally set out to travel across country to 14 Backland Court in late September 2019, Chris rebuffed these efforts. Rehabilitation attempts over following 2 months, at one point going as far as mutual flirting, could not ultimately repair their broken relationship enough to return to their former intimacy. And by the end of November 2019, they rejected each other again. He has been, however, no less persistent for all of his idle efforts, and by the end of March 2020, he had got a toe in Chris's door, though his current plans remains unclear. So this is like an average size reading. We're going to read some information about him now on the information side. So name, Jacob Justin Sockness, also known as a hell of a lot of names. Not going to read them. Date of birth the 1st of April 1983. He's 38 years old. Male, American, white, neo-pagan Satanism former. Occupations: amateur occultist, conspiracy theorist, stalker, unemployed. In other words, guess what? No one's going to hire him. As soon as they look up his record, no one's going to hire him. And he's a little bit under 6 foot tall. Discovery and motivations. Jacob was discovered by chance on the Kiwi Farms by Kiwi Farms user Neutral, while observing many users surrounding Chris's posts. Upon further investigation, something in my throat, it was revealed that he also had a Kiwi Farms account under the name Jacob JS, Justin Sockness. It was in his profile page where he accidentally doxed himself by linking his Facebook and Tumblr that revealed his personal information. That is why you should never put your personal information on Facebook or on the internet. As he exposed himself on the farms, Sockness, like Michael Harates, was considered to be a halal locale. Like many of Chris's orbiters, Sockness is a furry who lives in subsidized housing with a tugboat. He has a very low view on blacks, describing them as beastly and hypersexual, believing that their race can only rape because that is their way of reproduction in a natural setting. Unlikely idea, guys, who would inject such themes into Chris's mind for their own amusement. Jacob seems to be genuine. Sockness also controls several sock puppet accounts to white knight himself and converse with, while claiming them to be different people, like Chris's similar past attempts to cover himself. Historians could not discern the true motivations behind Sockness's behaviour. For a while, Jacob appeared to be the first true and honest believer in solitude and the dimensional merge after Chris, setting him apart from the various trolls, professing to protect Chris and the many previous imitators of the idea guys pretending to belong to Chris's aborted cult. Over the months, evidence would gradually come to light that indicated that his feelings were not in earnest. In November 2018, Sockness admitted that he did not seriously believe in the dimensional merge. While Chris allowed Jacob access to his Twitter account on the 11th of July 2019, he boasted about it on Reddit, even claiming that the sexual attraction to Chris was a facade. On the 21st of September 2019, when the concerned onlooker tried to warn Chris that Sockness was tantamount to an autistic idea guy, Sockness embraced the charges of manipulation, justifying his actions as protecting Chris from trolls. Early interactions with Chris. Got another quote. The sacred shoes have samples of cat and doggy DNA. Looking for these treasures of heaven. A single hair from Christine's head to be put into an amulet of serious power to manifest one's dreams. That this is a divine experience. Now Sockness being fucking weird. Sockness has spent hundreds buying items from Chris's eBay, notably buying his old shoes for worship purposes. Oh god. Chris has blocked him on Twitter on the 31st of January 2019. By the 22nd of May 2019, Jacob's Twitter channel was terminated. Oh, his YouTube channel was terminated, and his Twitter account disappeared. Yeah, we're not going to watch this because it's on the internet somewhere. And you need to look at it. But I think it was posted on the 16th of March 2019. Still, this would not be the end of Sockness' involvement with Chris. He would create a new Twitter account named Chris Kink on the 11th of July 2019. While Chris was trying to raise funds for a hotel room at the 2019 BronyCon, a troll, Sonically Merch, told Chris that Sockness might be interested in buying his bathwater. Chris saw the dollar signs and followed Sockness. Because of course he fucking would. Because, you know, money. Got another quote here. The Sonically Merch guy told Chris that I was interested in buying some bathwater. The guy doesn't know that I have no money to buy it due to issues with Social Security in May. Even if I had the money, Chris has to follow some exact rules for creating what I need from him. In other words, he's grooming him, it sounds like. He needs to make it and bless some holy water with his gooses in it. Oh god. Now Sockness explains why Chris has started following him. After establishing direct communication with Chris, Sockness tweeted that he would open a vendor account on eBay for Chris, acting as warehouse, house clearing and the middleman. Chris responded with gratitude, and the next day Chris retweeted a GoFundMe campaign by Sockness to raise $300 as Normandy as a shipping fund. As of September 2019, Sockness has failed to restore Chris's access to eBay, which would be prohibited at any rate. Though he had continued to set up GoFundMe pages for Chris's incidental expenses when his car broke down and he needed $1,000 worth of repairs. Once Sockness had his foot in the door, he began talking about his alternate dimensional fantasies, further enabling Chris. Got another quote. Firstly and mainly, I am not under anyone's control, and secondly, I still support Rocat and the good people of Andromeda. I need to meditate furthermore. I need to meditate furthermore sound responses and thoughts. For now, I will simply state that your research is valuable indeed. Going silent, and that was Chris addressing Sockness. He believes that he is not under anyone's control, while parroting Sockness's law. Chris featured Jacoba as an OC created by Sockness. What is that in my hand? I think I've got a splinter, you know. I'll pick it out in a minute. Created by Sockness in Sonically 14. As Sockness puts it, he drew Jacoba from one of mine. When her CPU pals wanted to see the Rocat. For most of summer 2019, the two would interact relatively little, though other weens would try and push them closer together. In August 2019, Chris threw his Magican sock puppet on Twitter, naively dismissed Sockness's violent inclinations, and approved the idea of him coming to visit. Subsequent interactions and the Virginia trip. On the 7th of September 2019, Sockness released a fabricated conversation between himself and Magican from 2019. in which he declared that he and Chris would meet would need to meet in person and marry fully dimensional merge to proceed. God, that sounds like one of them Indian marriages where it's forced. Though Chris affirmed thereafter that the counterfeit dialogue was trustworthy and begged for the funding to travel to California. He changed tactics within a few days, stating on Twitter that Chris in his Magican body has arrived on the west coast behind the dimensional curtain, while Chris's body was safely in Virginia. Nevertheless, Chris remained interested in Sockness coming to visit him at home. As autumn 2019 began, months of casual online role-playing would come to head. On the 24th of September, Sockness reported that he had bought train tickets to make the transcontinental trip to Chris. He made clear that his intent was to both sexual and violent on Reddit, comparing his plans for Chris Rear to Germany's devastation by Allied bombings during the war. Despite being physically incapable of such a feat. However, only one day later, Chris posted a statement on Twitter, along with a short video clip. Chris releases a statement regarding Jacob Sockness, indicating his desire for Sockness to return home after Sockness had left for Virginia, and saying that someone in Chicago would provide him with a return ticket. It seemed that Chris had a moment of clarity long enough to realise the magnitude of what was going to happen. He elaborated on these decisions later that day, including a statement from one of Jacob's imaginary gods, Michuru. In his statement, Chris cited his health was unconclusive to having guests, and that Jacob has gone down the path of evil. Chris also said that he foresaw that he and Jacob would end up in a similar situation to how Chris and Cole Smithy are. On the 26th of December, Sockness admitted defeat, tweeting that his involvement with the dimensional merge has ended in failure, and that he would delete his Twitter account upon returning home. Chris would confirm that Sockness has turned back the next day. In a poorly thought out attempt to save face, Sockness would later claim the train ticket was his own forgery, and the entire Virginia trip was a sham. Failed romance. Despite spending over $1,500 through the course of his failed bid with Chris's attention, Jesus Christ, Sockness remained determined to win his prize in the end, and managed to slither back into Chris's inner circle of orbiters despite his dangerous behaviour. He apologised for his emotional outburst and reconciled with Chris, and indicated that he wishes to visit Chris again at some indeterminate time in the future. Just check something. Okay, that's fine. Where was I? Oh god, I missed my place. Time in the future. Yeah, future time. Making sure to bring a mutual friend along with him. When Chris declared on the 28th of September his wish to attend BabsCon, My Little Pony convention that was scheduled for April 2020, just outside of San Francisco, Sockness consoled himself that he would see Chris in person after all. However, they would not converse again for over 2 weeks after this. Halfway through October 2019, Sockness entered the picture once again. On the 12th of October, Chris whined on Twitter about complaints from customers regarding the Patreon books that they had not received. Sockness sensing an opportunity to regain access to Chris, discussed the matter with him and announced with his approval that he would be taking over management of the Patreon's financing, essentially to help in a similar move to his managing Chris's eBay account several months earlier. Yeah, can you actually do that? I don't know. I don't think you can have a second person to manage your money on Patreon. I think it's all you. Oh, so tired. It's getting late now. Several months earlier, emboldened, Sockness proclaimed on the 16th of October that he would fly to Virginia sometime about Halloween. He promptly resumed hitting on Chris over Twitter, with Chris playing into it. On the 19th of October, Sockness commented on a video clip of cosplayers kissing. Said, "How about it, love?" And then it's Chris Can's Twitter. To which Chris answered, "I'm not going to cosplay as Deadpool or a zombie, but we can kiss in a future time." Halloween 2019 came and went with no indication that Sockness has flown to Virginia as he said he would. Shifting tactics, Sockness determined to cordon Chris off from other social interactions, establishing himself to be the only one Chris could trust. On the 3rd of November 2019, he managed to sour Chris's opinion of Null. Later that week, Sockness allied with the newly returned Sarah and Steve in Byzane Twitter dialogues, defending Chris against other enablers who sought to gain influence over him. Among his methods to suppress rivals, Sockness would harass MKR Knight V in direct messages, further seeking to cut Chris off from other contacts, including those who generally mean well. Sockness created a list of various Kiwi Farms and Twitter users he deemed untrustworthy for criticising his bid for control. In other words, because he actually wrote out a load of names that Chris could block. I think I've actually saw that post before. Chris as a danger, Jacob as a danger to Chris. Jacob is clearly unstable with psychotic tendencies. In his own mythos, he is a prophet of the god of war and death. Jacoba is a telling of that Jacob named a death god after himself. His books contain many references to himself as a evil entity. Most bluntly put, in Celestial Studies, where he says, "Our job is to consume human flesh." Yeah, he's went off the deep end. In addition to this, a lot of his books contains revivals. I think it's rituals. I think, yeah. Most have graphic descriptions, all of which are made to kill people in cruel and unusual ways. In the 2018 interview, he said that he uses these rituals to kill homeless people when he's bored. Yeah, he's a fucking psycho. Also, in one interview, he said in no certain terms that he would rape Chris. That he would rape Chris if his advances are refused. It is unclear if what he says really happens. What matters is that Jacob thinks killing the homeless and summoning demons, which is just as bad. Chris tries to hand to hand-wave these glaring faults in Jacob's online persona by saying everything bad Jacob has done he did because he was possessed by Jacoba. Despite Jacob saying that it is impossible for Jacoba to possess him, Jacob claims that Jacoba is responsible for the red tape preventing the merge and tries to hold it hostage, claiming that it'll only happen once he has had sex with Chris, or if they sacrifice a small child. Jesus, I really hope that doesn't happen, but from what I know now, Jacob and Chris has got nothing to do with each other and they went their separate ways, I believe. I haven't heard anything new from it for months now. Although it is not known for certain what would happen if Chris and Jacob met, it would certainly not be good. Friend zoning and second estrangement. I was following the request of Maggie Khan to keep on with Jacob, yet my feelings for him have developed during the months. As for the present, I had to call the romance because even I knew this whole time it was not meant to be, and Jacob's usefulness had become compromised. Now it was Chris explaining his reasons for involving himself with Sockness to a random being. Last bit. Come on, let me do this last bit before I fall asleep. Pressuring Chris to abandon his other contacts ultimately backfired. Chris received Lilith himself lukewarmly, while affirmed he was in love with Sockness. He maintained some reservations. He challenged Sockness, noting that the list consisted mostly of Sockness's own enemies, and asking whenever he would be blacklisted. Also, he were to turn on him. Sockness went on to defeat various pretenders to his position without much fanfare, though in vain. Chris was repulsed by Sockness's professant associations with demons, and issued a statement on the 28th of November 2019. While he was not in a romantic relationship with him, moreover, it's not furthermore, it's moreover, that the dimensional merge would be endangered by such interference as him. His decisions were applauded by other enablers, some of whom had become Jacob's targets. Nonetheless, Chris still counted Jacob as a friend, and though of himself as protecting him against demons. As had come to pass 2 months earlier, when Chris disrupted his journey to Virginia, Sockness responded to the word that he had been rejected with tarred rage. He delivered a ultimatum to Chris, threatening to revoke his taic permission to use his financial setting in Sonicu, or fictional setting in Sonicu, and pursue him for copyright infringement if he continued to use them unless they got married. In other words, sending like threats to him, more or less, like legal threats. While Chris agreed empathetically to no longer use Jacob's demonic characters in his own works, he displayed in a autistic parading shot his usual compassion level of how intellectual property works. Chris's own experience and memories from Jacob's fictional universes were invaluable. Sockness remained adamant, sternly reciting the legal limits on what Chris could do financially with his characters in an endeavour to bring him back into his flabby arms. Holding firm, Chris stolidly divested himself by writing of the past business together as being MegaClan's requests and describing Sockness as having outlived his usefulness. Neither would speak to each other again for over 3 weeks, and their friendship was dealt a hard blow. Well, to be fair, is for the best. In December 2019, would see Chris's relations with Sockness continued to sour. Against Sockness's order not to use his fantasy world, Chris was released on the 16th of December 2019 a trading card declaring his final triumph over Sockness and his infernal horde was assured. Later that month, Sockness sought to spark conflict between them, Chris and an enabler, but Chris recognised and dismissed these as the factuations they were. Even Jacob's plan to confront Chris again at BabsCon was derailed. The convention was cancelled in March 2020 due to the risk of COVID-19. Unlike the deep scars left to Sonic canon by the Idea Guys, Sockness's contributions, if not rejected outright, seem to have turned on their head and made impotent to vibe Chris through any more than it already is for once. It appeared that Chris has actually managed to evade one of his miraculous orbiters. Any newfound optimism onlookers might have found Chris's ability to discern his enabler's true intent turned out to be misguided. Though early 2020, Chris has fallen further into occult practices. On the 31st of March 2020, Chris built a pagan altar in his bedroom, according to instructions found in one of Sockness's books. Yeah, it's still on it, never learns. Soon thereafter, on the 6th of April 2020, Chris followed Jacob again on Twitter. What precisely Sockness is doing is unknown. He restricted public access to his account on the 19th of April. Reemergence. And we got another quote. I'm not going to use the yellow bit because it's basically like them not adding it all because they don't have that much time. No, at least not yet. And that was Chris on the 15th of July 2020 to a fan asking whenever he and Sockness were dating. Though Sockness has managed to make a reappearance in early 2020 and had attempted to get his foot in the door, it wasn't until the summer of 2020 when Chris finally started humouring him in public again. Even so, Chris became increasingly dissatisfied with some of Sockness's behaviour, openly debunking him over Twitter. Therefore, all your information is false, and once again, you can shut the hell up about all this bullshit. End of discussion. And that was Chris /Sonically debunking Sockness over Twitter over his creepy behaviour and attempts at manipulation. As a result of Sockness's seductive behaviour, much of what he has done with regardless to attempting to get his foot back in the door with Chris can only be asserted with Chris's comments and retweets on Sockness' post. In early July 2020, Chris rebutted Sockness while playing a Sonic clue for his creepy behaviour, and told him in no uncertain terms to shut the hell up when Sockness attempted to trick him into believing he had a 10-year-old illegitimate son born from his flirting with prostitute Mia Hamm. Even though Chris remained under Sockness' frail, still believing other enabler force of events to be true and the same path, it was clear that once again he managed to discern reality from fiction for long enough to shoot down Sockness' misbehaviour, if only for a few moments. With the cancellation of BabsCon due to COVID-19, he claims to have caused storms over China for stopping his plan to meet the goddess. Second blocking onwards. In August 2020, Chris got yet into another Twitter spat with Ben Saint. This time Sockness decided to butt in and add his own flavour of retardation to the slap fight. This proved to be the last straw for Chris, who called Jacob out once more before blocking him. Afterwards, this turned Sockness off on Chris for good, as he later posted occasional rants against Chris on his Twitter and personal subreddit, attacking Chris for his opposition of P-Mert, and that's Trump spelt backwards, who Jacob supports with a religious favour, and coming up with plans to disrupt the dimensional merge. Whenever Sockness will try and continue to worm his way back into Chris's life is unknown, especially with his public Twitter account being suspended on January 2021, and I think that was like the last time we actually heard about Jacob Sockness. So this is all like updated. This is all like pretty good updated stuff. I'm gonna leave it here because my throat hurts. Okay, a little bit under 40 minutes. I'm going to put the relevant information in the description if you want to have a look at this for yourself. Just go to the main page of the quickie and go to the bottom and you'll probably find it. So I'm going to leave everything, all the information that you need, including my social networking sites, so you can interact with me, and I'll see you again next time.